Hey there, my name's Eli, and I am here to tell you that I love running Sanctums. It's all I want to do. And if you feel the same way, I'm going to show you the most efficient way to chain them together quickly, profitably, and infinitely. Like any great strategy, the instructions are simple and actionable. Are you ready? Step 1. Now this is a two-part step, but it's the only step that consists of two parts. First, have a build that comfortably beats the Sanctum's various challenge relics, excluding the original sin. For example, my Consecrated Path Chieftain Totem build does 23 million or so pinnacle boss damage and is very comfortable in here. 10 million damage is plenty. Hell, my 1.3 million DPS Glacial Hammer build was fine. The Sanctum is a very welcoming place. And you don't need to be able to do the challenge relics, but they're really helpful in boosting income, particularly the invocation drops. Secondly, we want to have a semblance of a strategy with our relics. Now I have two distinct builds of relics that I go with. One where I can gain inspiration with the challenge relic I'm running, where I have a 2x2 relic that gives inspiration whenever I get an affliction. And another that gives me % maximum resolve to give me a little buffer in case I want to use a packed room and sacrifice some of it. All other available slots are taken up by 2x1 and 1x2 relics that give 7 to 10% chance for monsters or chests to drop double coins. I try to balance this out so both of them have an equal chance. The amount of inspiration gain and maximum resolve that you take in should directly correlate to how comfortable you are with completing the Sanctum. Step 2, and perhaps the most controversial step, purchasing strand maps in bulk. The easiest way to do this is through the TFT Discord. And if you don't want to use TFT, I respect that, but it's the easiest way to get the maps. It should cost you somewhere around a divine for 72 strands, at least as of the time of this video. And I want to mention that a number of maps fit the requirement we have of being able to find the Sanctum within them easily. However, strand is superior for when we also want to kill the boss on our 28th out of 28 runs to collect our Screaming Invitation. This is a crucial step, so maps with bosses that come in phases are objectively terrible for this purpose, as they just waste our time. Step 3, get the Eater's Atlas passive for 10% chance to get bonus credit. Step 4, enter a strand map. It can have 0 mods, it can be rare, it can be corrupt, we don't really care. Step 5, find the Sanctum entrance, save the room for later. Step 6, spawn Eater mobs by killing random monsters in the map, and then kill one of those Eater mobs so that we get credit for our Eater invitation. Whether you find the Sanctum entrance first or kill the Eater mob first, it doesn't really matter. We just want to do both of these things. And once we do both of these things, leave the map and create a new one. Step 7, when we reach 28 out of 28, we need to remember to go and kill the map boss so that the invite will drop. If you need to or want to, you can sell the invite for 200 to 205 chaos or so. And the final step, run the Sanctum whenever you've saved up 8 rooms. Now you can run each Sanctum room whenever you find them in each map. That always felt jarring to me. I like to pick a thing and do that thing. So I store a floor, then run a floor. Separation of intention helps me focus. That's it for the strategy. Using this totem build, which as you can see in the background isn't the fastest one around, it takes me between 4 and 4.5 minutes to store a floor of the Sanctum. Speedier builds will be able to cut down that number significantly, but that means to store an entire Sanctum run takes me about 16 minutes of playtime. Now let's talk a little bit about profit. And before we do, just a couple notes. Running the Sanctum for me is primarily a source of fun. And secondly, the numbers I'm going to show you here are possibly a little deflated for a couple reasons. The first one being I'm not always recording every run that I do in its entirety. I'm often recording specifically for content that I'm creating for videos. This leads to two reasons why we might see deflated numbers here, because I'm often not maximizing profit in my runs, and I don't necessarily have floor 3, 2, and 1 for each run. So we're going to look at just the chest at the very end of the run after you kill Lycia. Now let's look at some examples from before I was really maximizing profit. In our first one, we totaled 38 Sextants, 36 stacked decks, 2 Exalts, and 14 Chaos. Now because I'm going to add in 200 Chaos because of the Screaming Invite for every run that we do here, this gives us a total of 479 Chaos. Take away the 109 Chaos or so it costs us for the 32 strand maps to fill out the entire Sanctum, and we walk out with 370 Chaos. In our next example, we totaled 48 stacked decks, 42 raw Chaos, and a Divine, plus the Invite for 610 Chaos, minus our 109 is 501. Not too bad. Now, there's a significant difference difference between those two and the next two. In these upcoming ones, I started implementing the proper overall strategy for making real currency within the Sanctum, which is, for floor 1 and 2, our goal is to prioritize getting stacked decks and sextants rewards, along with raw chaos, of course, along with 1 to 2 merchant rooms and a couple of coin reward rooms, so we have the cash to buy a couple relics. If we have inspiration as our main source of hit points, we also highly value pact rooms as they give us a chance to get the all-seeing eye, or the little brother of that, the scrying amulet minor boon, which are the 2 most valuable boons to get if you're looking for profit. On floor 3 and 4, where the rewards get bumped up generally, we're still prioritizing stacked decks and sextants, but with any luck we have at least the scrying amulet, which will allow us better odds to find the divines and exalts that might be hiding in our path. So long as we read the layout properly and make sure we're picking the rooms that give us the most possible options throughout the whole floor, we should extract the most value out of each run. Remember to keep an eye out for Orbs of Unmaking and Sacred Orbs, but they're pretty uncommon. Refer to the linked Excel sheet in the video description, which will give you a ranking for all the reward choices outside of divines and mirrors. Alright, so with that said, let's look at what the proper strategy can yield. Here we're looking at 3 divines, 84 stacked decks, and 24 raw chaos for 1178 total chaos, minus our cost, means we walk away with 1069. And on our final example, we have 4 divines, 10 sextants, 56 stacked decks, and 28 raw chaos for 1195, minus our cost is 1086 chaos. Now those last 2 examples are pretty high, but even if we hypothetically were to take out a couple of divines out of that total, we still walk out with nearly 600 chaos. And in my opinion, 16 minutes worth of build time and then 30 to 40 minutes of playing the Sanctum, which again, I enjoyed doing, I think that's a pretty good profit. The best part of this process to me is that once you have step 1 done, where you have your relics set up and your build and you have your Atlas passive set, all we really need to do is go to TFT to get our maps in bulk and then just run the maps, build our Sanctum, and run the Sanctum. It becomes this very straightforward, easy process that's not only a lot of fun, but gives us a fair bit of profit too to go with it. That's going to be it for this video. If you liked this content, you should subscribe because there's going to be more coming. Now this is Eli signing off.